Now let's look at the solution to question number 10. Now question number 10 is your final question in the entire paper. It also comes from the same category of long answer question. So the marking scheme is simply laid out as the question carries 6 marks. You have to remember that you have to answer the question in 120 to 150 words and the distribution of marks remains the same. Content carries 3 marks, expression also carries 3 marks, where the inbuilt elements of expression such as grammatical accuracy, appropriate words and spellings constitute 1.5 marks, and coherence and relevance of ideas along with style carries 1.5 marks. So if you read the very first question given here, it says describe briefly the scene at the 3rd level of Grand Central as seen or seemed to be seen by Charlie. So remember, in the chapter the 3rd level, Charlie believes that he saw the 3rd level at the Grand Central Station. Whatever he saw there, you just have to narrate that, which means most of the value points will be factual in nature. So the first one you can remember is smaller room on the 3rd level was the first thing that he observed. At the same time, fewer ticket windows and train gates were the very different elements that he saw and perturbed him why this particular area doesn't look like the rest of the central station. Similarly, information booth in the center was antique, made of wood. Similarly, man in the booth wore a green eye shade and long black sleeve protectors, things that bothered him. Why? Because these were not prevalent in the times when Charlie visited the station. Now, the lights were dim and flickering because they were open flame gas lights, something which is now completely removed from your modern surroundings. You don't find them any more open flame gas lights. Along with it, there were brass spittoons on the floor, which also made it a point for Charlie that he could understand that this particular place is not an ordinary place that he has previously visited. Similarly, across the station, a man was using a gold pocket watch. He wore a derby hat, a black 4-button suit with tiny lapels, and he had a big black handlebar mustache. Now you have to remember, all these details point out that the fashion sense and the clothing sense of people that he saw at the station belong to an earlier time, not related to the modern fashion sense. Similarly, in the station, everyone was dressed like they belonged to 1890. Therefore, most of the men had beards, sideburns and fancy mustaches. At the same time, a woman wore a dress with the leg of a mutton sleeves and skirt to the top of her high button shoes. Describe how the entire space looked like 1890 and not the present time. Thereafter, on the tracks, he saw a locomotive, a very small Currier and Ives locomotive with a funnel-shaped stack. Remember how he saw the newspaper outside which had the date mentioned belonging to 1984? All these elements make your value points stronger and your description satisfactory. Now, what if you chose the other alternative? It says, how did Dr. Sadao resolve the conflict in his mind between his loyalty to his country and his duty as a doctor? So remember, the chapter The Enemy talks about this dilemma which Dr. Sadao goes through in the entire story, where he has to choose his duties towards his nation along with his conscience of how he has to save the injured American prisoner from dying. So that entire dilemma has to be part of your answer. So you can begin with the value points such as how Dr. Sadao decided not to let the escaped and injured prisoner die on the shore. What did he do? He brought him to his house. Thereafter, he operated upon him, saved his life. And he did all this initially because he gave more importance to his duty as a doctor in comparison to his duty as a citizen of Japan. So you highlight the dilemma that he faced in the entire situation. Moreover, he also wrote an incomplete letter to the chief of police and kept it in a secret drawer of his desk, highlighting that how his conscience was constantly pulling him into pieces, making him choose which side he was really on. Thereafter, when the escaped prisoner healed properly, he went to the old general and reported the incident because that was the calling of patriotism. So what did he do essentially? The old general trusted Dr. Sadao and therefore he offered to send assassins to kill the American prisoner at night quietly and dispose of the body. So by doing this, Dr. Sadao believed that he kept his conscience clear of reporting the prisoner to the old general and therefore he had his patriotism intact. Now at the same time, the general got busy and forgot his promise. So you have to remember that this incident led to the rest of the events where Dr. Sadao took it upon him to keep the prisoner alive. Therefore, now Dr. Sadao arranged a boat for Tom, the escaped prisoner, and guided him to an island. Thus, he gave him instructions to wait for a Korean ship and ultimately this helped Dr. Sadao resolve the conflict in his mind between his loyalty to his country and his duty as a doctor. So had he not taken this step, he would not have been able to keep his conscience clear as to why this prisoner was ultimately a sort of a prejudice that he was fighting against, and once he keeps him alive, that's how he is relieved of all that pain. So I hope the explanation was satisfactory, and with this we come to the end of our discussion. I hope these video solutions really help you to analyze how you would fare in your exam. Thank you so much for watching and I wish you all the very best for your forthcoming exams along with the result. Do check out this space for other video solutions of the rest of the subject. Thank you once again.